My lords, my ladies, honorable guests, welcome to the inaugural meeting for the County of Brant. Our mayor and 10 councillors work hard on behalf of almost 37,000 residents of Brant County. They assure that Brant's assets are protected and valuable initiatives and projects properly come to fruition. Municipal councillors are responsible for accountability and transparency, and therefore our future prosperity is in their hands. This council and their municipal staff will work together to make Brant County the ideal place to live, visit, manufacture, and produce food. Tonight, we witness the declaration of office and the oath of allegiance of the 8th Council for the County of Brant. May God bless the County of Brant, and may God bless the Council and governing body for the County of Brant. God save the King.
I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you for coming out. It's with the threat of with the threat of snow, and we have a very short program tonight, but it's going to be as official as we need it to be. And so I'd like to thank you all. I'd like to thank staff for taking the time to come tonight. It's always nice to see the staff. They spend all their time propping us up and making us look good. So thank you for coming out on probably a snowy night to support us again. So with that, I guess we're going to go right to...
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you very much, everyone. You can take a seat. Good evening, everyone. As Clerk of the County of Brant, I present to you the declaration of the election results. I, Alicia Dijak, Clerk of the Corporation of the County of Brant in the Province of Ontario, declare the following candidates elected as a result of the municipal election held on October 24th, 2022. For the office of Mayor, David Bailey. For the office of Councillor Ward 1, Jennifer Kyle and John MacAlpine. For the office of Councillor of Ward 2, Steve Howes and Lukas Oakley. For the office of Councillor Ward 3, John Bell and John Peirce. For the office of Councillor Ward 4, Robert Chambers and David Miller. And for the office of Councillor Ward 5, Brian Coleman and Christine Garneau. And with that, I would like to ask the Honourable Mr. Charles Anderson to come forward and to conduct the declaration of elected officials.
Thank you, Leisha. Mayor Bailey, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to stand here and be part of this ceremony for a number of reasons. Number one, I am a resident of the County of Brant. Number two, and more importantly, and my wife would confirm this, her maiden name is Gawkel. We are in the Gawkel Community Center, which means a lot to her as to me. Her uncle was Earl, her cousin was Ken. So if I could ask Councillor John MacAlpine, if you could join me, please, and if you could bring your declaration with you. So I'm going to get you just to read the declaration and fill in all of the appropriate blanks, and I know you can do that, sir.
Okay. I, John MacAlpine, have been elected as appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for exercise of this office in bias, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I would disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I may this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So you declare and affirm.
And I declare and affirm.
Thank you very much. You can take your seat. Councillor Jennifer Kyle, please. I'm going to get you to do the very same thing, filling in the blanks.
I, Jennifer Kyle, have been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant. Do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So you declare and affirm.
I do.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Howes, please.
I, Steve Howes, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So you declare and affirm.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Lukas Oakley, please.
I, Lukas Oakley, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truthfully, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Okay, so you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you. Councillor John Peirce, please.
I, John Peirce, having been elected and appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise the office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance to the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear the true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect if made under oath.
So you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor John Bell, please.
I, John Bell, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that 1. I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. 2. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. 3. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. 4. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you. Councillor David Miller, please.
I, David Miller, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make the solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Okay, so you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Robert Chambers.
I, Robert Chambers, having been elected to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Okay, so you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you. Councillor Christine Garneau, please.
I, Christine Garneau, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truthfully, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you. Councillor Brian Coleman, please.
I, Brian Coleman, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the municipality of the County of Brant, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly and faithfully and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Majesty King Charles III. I make this solemn promise and declaration and conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if it is made under oath.
So you declare and affirm?
I do.
Thank you. Mayor David Bailey, if you could come forward, please.
I, David Bailey, have been elected to the office of mayor in the municipality of the County of Brant and do solemnly promise to declare that, 1, I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. Number 2, I have not received or will not receive any payment or reward or promise, therefore, for the exercise of this office on a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. Number 3, I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Number 4, and I will be faithful and true to the allegiance of His Majesty King Charles III. And I make the solemn promise and declaration consciously believing it is true and knowing that the same force and effect as made under oath.
So you declare and affirm?
I do, sir. With all that done and over with, we are now all legal and can enter into my second term, some of your second terms, and some of you the first terms. And I have great hopes of what we're going to accomplish in the next 4 years. I'd like at this time to say thank you to my friend Alex Boyd for singing O Canada, and she's going to stay around and she's going to close tonight with a rendition of God Save the King. My speech is going to be very informal, just because I think before we can talk about what we're going to do in the next 4 years, we need to talk about the last 4 years because they've been exceptional years and we've done an amazing job. And when I say amazing, I mean very amazing. The County of Brant going through the days of COVID and the time just prior to COVID. I'm going to go through sort of my time as mayor. I was able to serve one full calendar year, doing everything that a mayor would do. I got to see how staff worked and find out which office they were in and what they do and who they report to. And then I got to see how committees work and how committees report to council. And I got to sit on boards, and I got to I just got to do the whole thing properly, and it was a very slow learning curve, but I could take my time and I was getting it, and I was very proud of myself for getting it all so quickly. And then I realized after a year, I got another 5 months, and I saw how it all works. It just keeps going. It just keeps repeating itself, and you get better and better at it. And then COVID hit, and nothing was the same. Nothing made sense. There was no rules. There was no seminars. There was no programs to go to find out what to do next. Now, thankfully, I had, under the leadership of Michael Bradley, who, by the way, today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Michael. And because you said you didn't want any singing, I'm not going to sing. And because you didn't want any hoopla, there's not going to be a hoopla. And because you said you didn't want it to have it mentioned, this is all I'm going to say, is that Mr. Bradley, if it wasn't for your leadership and your direction for the last 4 years through COVID, we would have all been in trouble. So I thank you for being my friend, and I wish you all the best in the next piece of your life, whatever that may be. Yeah, you were wonderful to work with. I hope that we're friends for a very long time. And I know that your staff is very sad to see you go. Your council is very sad to see you go. And your mayor is very sad to see you go. So thank you very much, and good luck in whatever is coming forward for you, because I'm sure you'll be very happy and very good at whatever you decide to do. So thank you for that. And I'd also like to thank staff for the last 4 years too. No one really knows what council is all about, or what a corporation this size is all about. And it's all about staff deciding whether they're going to support you and prop you up and make you look good every chance they get. And that's what they've done for me. At every level, every general manager, right down to some people, I still don't know really what they do. I just know that it gets done, but I don't know what they're called. They're just people that get everything done. And I thank them all for that, because you have made me look very good in the last 4 years, and I appreciate that. And I don't take it for granted. I mean, at any time, Robert Chambers can make me look like a monkey, and it's all over. And I do know that could happen at any given point. But I also have to tell you that through COVID, we got everything done that we needed to get done. We got everything done on time mostly, and under budget sometimes, but not over budget ever. And we just got the work done. We built 3 fire halls during COVID. We built a health hub. If you can imagine, the County of Brant, hello Mandy, the County of Brant built a health hub, and it's an amazing facility. And it happened. It's functioning. It's quite a jewel in our crown. And for that, I thank Brooke Hayward for seeing that through. It was a great project. You should be very proud of yourself. We also built an OPP station, an amazing building. It was one of those slow builds, because it wasn't what everyone thought should happen, but it was what I wanted to see happen. And with the support of my council, we got it done, and now we have a wonderful OPP station out on Rest Acres Road, amongst the stores and the houses. You'll see it if you go by a couple of times. Rest Acres Road, as you know, is not what you remember it to be. We've had a lot of growth in the County of Brant, and I've decided that I'm not going to apologize anymore for that growth, because the County of Brant is a wonderful product. There is reasons why the County of Brant is so successful. It's a wonderful place to live. It is a wonderful place to do business, and it's a wonderful place to get cooperation. We are just big enough that we have most things in place, and we're small enough to know that we treat people properly. And so I'm not going to apologize for the growth anymore, because there are reasons why places grow. And I sit on the Ontario Wardens Association, and I have meetings every couple of months with wardens and people, mayors from all different cities all over Western Ontario, and they have no growth. They wish they had growth. They wish they had permits to worry about. They wish they had houses, too many houses or too many highways. They have nothing. And I think everything that we have in the pipe in the County of Brant, there's a reason why they're choosing the County of Brant. It's convenient. It's placed beautifully between the 400 series highways, and we treat people properly in the County of Brant. The temperature of the County of Brant is good. We have diversity coming from all directions, and we welcome it. With the diversity comes the festivals, come the restaurants, come the culture. It's all exciting, and it's all going to be happening. I tell people, if you don't like living in the County of Brant right now, you're going to really not like it in 5 years. So sell your house. You'll get a lot of money for it, and move on. Move somewhere where there's never going to be any more development, because we are going to continue to develop, because we have to. Because the people of the County of Brant want things. They want arenas. They want cricket pitches. They want everything. They want opera halls. They want swimming pools. And to do all of that, you can do all of that. And I think it's great too. But you need money to do that. And the money comes from the development, and the money comes from the investments. Again, Michael Bradley was an amazing amazing financial guy. He always knew where the money was. He always invested the money properly, and the County of Brant, because of the efforts of Michael Bradley and the senior staff, we are in good shape financially, and not a lot of places can say that right now. So I won't apologize for growth anymore. I just think that as we grow, and when we grow in St. George and Burford and have little sort of bits of growth all through the county, we just have to make sure that we do it properly and we stay ahead of it all. Not that I'm blaming anyone, but a lot of the things that you see happening in Paris right now were inherited by the last council and of course carried through on this council. And maybe it got ahead of us a little bit. Maybe we should have thought of more things quicker. I don't know. Maybe we should have had roundabouts talked about a little sooner so that we didn't hit people with such traffic and dust and noise. The County of Brant has a wonderful reputation, provincially and federally. I've gone to all the conventions. My councillors go with me to the conventions, and we talk to the ministers, and we have all kinds of things up our sleeve. We've talked to I've got Carolyn Mulrooney on redial for infrastructure to get roundabouts for Bishopsgate Road and for all the things that we need to do. They're listening to us. They understand why we need the growth. They know we're not asking for anything we don't need. So we do have friends both in the province and in Ottawa. And that's a very big deal. Not everyone answers their phone. And when I call, they answer the phone. When my councillors need something, I call, and my calls are answered. So I think that we've done a great job connecting ourselves to both the province and Ottawa, and that is a big deal. There's nothing worse than being ghosted by the powers that be. And the other thing I want to tell you is that the County of Brant, through COVID, the government, the Ford government might not be my first government of choice. I'm not sure that I've ever voted for them. But through COVID, they not only gave us money, lots of money, they gave us enough money to be successful. So for that, I'll always be grateful for the Ford government. And through that, plus our investments, plus our development charges, we do have ourselves in a very good financial place. So that's a good thing. Councillor Chambers and others that have been around longer than I have known what it's been like to have to say no to people when they come for grants or money or just things that we know are the right things to do, but we didn't have the finances to say yes. So I'm very grateful that I'm the mayor in a period where we do have some money and we don't have to say no very often. And that's a good feeling. And we feel good when people come asking for money, whether it's for sports events or Girl Guides or Boy Scouts or trips to Europe for the band or whatever they need money for. That doesn't have to be big pieces of money, just little pieces of money that you just have to say no if you don't have it. Because at the end of the day, it all has to make sense to someone in another department, which I wouldn't want to be in at all. But at the end of the day, you have to be accountable for everything. So I'm very grateful that I've been left in a position to not have to say no very often. The other thing I'd like to say is I'm excited for our three new councillors. They're young. I think my shoes are probably older than one of them. They're very young, and they take the average of our age of our council down by 7 years, which makes me one of the older people on council, which is terrifying for me. But it's the way it is. It's the way the world goes. Everything's a cycle. And someday there'll be another cycle. And it's just what happens in life. But I'm very excited because I see the excitement in their eyes. And they're all going to bring something different to the council. And I'm very happy for that. We have a couple of farmers that are coming on council, which is a very big deal for the County of Brant. Farming is such a big piece of what we are and who we are. And so I'm very glad that we have a couple of more farmers that are going to know how to deal with things when they come up and again, deal with the ministry when we need them to deal with the ministry, and they're going to know what they're talking about. And that I'm very grateful for that, because obviously you can't know everything about everything. And I know what I know, and I'm glad that behind me there's 10 people that know what they know. I'm very confident, I'm very secure in what I do as the mayor, knowing that there's people that are going to hold me accountable for everything I do and everything I say, and I'm all right with that. I'm all right with them maybe second guessing me or asking me to clarify myself, because I do speak from my heart. And I always used to say that I don't come from a political place, I come from a social place. And I'm not able to say that very much longer because I now come from a political place. I get it now. I've been paying attention. I spent the first 4 years of being the mayor learning all day long. And I hope that I've got it right. I think that I've got it right. And I am very proud and very privileged that I was reelected to a second term. I'd like to thank all the people that elevated me there and that voted for me. And if you didn't vote for me, thank you for not mentioning it tonight. And we'll talk. So anyway, thank you very much. And this really does conclude our meeting. So at this point, I'd like to call on Alex Gain to come and sing God Save the King. And then I want to ask you to have a good time, mingle. We have some food at the back, and we're going to finish tonight's formal part of the evening with God Save the King, and then I invite you to enjoy yourself for the next little while. Thank you.
God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the King.
And just before I adjourn the meeting, I'd like to thank Chuck Anderson. Chuck is a good friend of mine. We went to high school together. Then we went to college together. We became funeral directors together. Then when I was on the police services board, there he was teaching at the academy. And so we actually worked together as funeral directors about 150 years ago. And so when I found out I needed a justice of the peace, I thought, well, you know what, Chuck just lives down the road. And so I'm very grateful that you found the time to come tonight. It means a great deal to me. And if there's nothing else for the betterment of the County of Brant, I call the meeting adjourned. And thank you all for taking the time to come tonight. So enjoy yourself.